Good morning and welcome. My name is Angela Davis and I'm the Forum Quilter. And this is a little impromptu video about a work in progress that I'm going to complete for a friend of mine. And it's all about the other reason why I wanted to make this video is I'm taking some advice from my viewers. And normally when I'm cutting fabric for a project and I get to the end of like the end of a row and I have like this, I just throw it in a bin the way it is. And a lot of my viewers said, instead of doing that, trim that end into manageable sizes, and that way when you do want a project, you already have the squares already cut. So instead of just throwing these in a big bin and then dealing with them later, trim them up so that they're ready. And then this pile here, if I got to an end of a row where maybe this side was a little crooked and I had just enough for one little piece, I cut this into 2.5-inch strips because I know what 2.5-inch strips so that it's ready for my next project. So for example, when I got to the end of a row, when I cut this, which is going to go into my UFO, I had just enough to do one little 2.5-inch strip. So now I have a pile of these little 2 patches that I can put, they're all ready to go to put in another quilt. So thank you to my viewers who gave me that suggestion. I don't know why I haven't been doing it before. I think laziness has a lot to do with it. And not developing good habits. So this video is impromptu. It's before work. This is when I get a lot of my sewing done. But I wanted to make sure I filmed to let you know, my viewers, I do listen. And I need to change my ways when it comes to organizing my scraps. But I think this is going to be really, really helpful for me for 2025. So enjoy the video. I started out by pulling fabric to cut into 2.5-inch strips. And I just took my time cutting. Since I'm completing this UFO, I could not find a lot of the scraps that I originally started with. So I'm trying to choose fabrics that will complement the original scraps that I have in that original piece. Once I finished cutting several 2.5-inch strips, I'm pairing them up with white, and I'm doing a 1/4-inch seam allowance, and I'm doing what's called assembly line sewing, where you feed one piece under the presser foot right after the next one. This saves on thread, and it also helps speed up your sewing time. Once I had several strips sewn, I'm pressing, and what I'm doing is I'm pressing the seam flat first, and that's called setting the seam. So for example, once you stitch that row of stitching, that heat when you set the seam helps flatten out those stitches to make that seam nice and flat. And then after that, I open up the seam and I press toward the dark color. I got out of bed at 4 o'clock, took the dog out. I'm working on this UFO. Problem is a lot of these prints I couldn't find in my stash. So I have to incorporate other prints that will complement it. So what I'm going to do is, because this particular piece has so many of the same prints, I'm going to take apart one strip and then take apart the middle and then add in these other ones so that it looks random and not chunky, because I don't want to have the same prints in the same section so that your eye can't travel across it well. If there's too many in one section, it's going to look chunky. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to sit here. I have to go to work. It's Wednesday, February 5th. And this is when I get a lot of my sewing done, is in the morning, if I feel like getting out of bed. January was rough. You know, those cold temperatures, don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Just don't, you know. How many of you feel that way? Just don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning. But now I do feel like getting out of bed, so I'm trying to use this energy well. Trying to get this UFO done because I'm thinking I'm gonna give this to a friend of mine. She's been telling me all winter long she just can't get warmed up. Just, you know, just can't shake the chill, you know. She's not sick. Just can't seem to shake the chill. So I thought I'm gonna pull something from my stash, and that's when I found this one. I did a video about this one, by the way. I'll leave it in the link below. And when I finish this one, Maybe I'll make a new video and and attach it to that one, or make it like part 2 or something. You know what I mean? There we go. So this week, the last couple of days, I've been getting up early in the morning. I'm working on the blocks for my curtains. I'm working on this one. I'm also working on my part 3 of beginner basics. Working on that. And I'm also working on one of my customers who bought my double arch chain pattern. She contacted me because she needed the measurements for the king size version, and I didn't have that included in my pattern. So I'm in the process of getting those measurements to her so that she can do her project, because her project is going to be a gift. One thing that you'll notice in this video compared to other ones, I angle the camera away from the chaos. Yes, I have chaos in my sewing room. I have 2 tables. I have the main sewing table, which is the one I'm sitting at, and I have a cutting table that I'm not using right now because, let me show you why. Here, you ready? You ready for the big reveal? Here we go. Ready? Okay, that's my cutting table. That's why I can't cut on my cutting table. Are you the kind of quilter who, when they work on a project, they pull everything out, look through all their fabrics, get ideas, get inspired, touch all the lovely colors and the lovely prints, start sewing, but then look back and go, oh yeah, I have a mess over there to clean up? Yeah, I'm one of those. And then there's the quilters who, when they work on a project, after each session that they sew, they clean. They clean as they go, so that their room is always tidy. What I tend to do is I tend to work on a project, make a mess. At the end of the project, do one big clean. Then start another project and start that process all over again. Everybody works differently. Do you hear pitter patter of little feet? It's one of my daughters getting up to use the bathroom. I'm almost at the end of this row. Okay, there's that row. Okay, so let me show you this pattern. So what I've done is, it's 1 print, 1 white, 2 print, 1 white, 1 print, 1 white, 2 print, 1 white, 1 print, 1 white, 2 print, 1 white, 1 print, 1 white, 2 print. So I have to try to follow that pattern with these new strips. So let me start cutting here. Okay, these strips, and I measured from here to here, are, oops, eight inches cut. So I know I have to cut these in 8-inch intervals. anything left over, I'm gonna cut at 2.5 inches because that's the size of my original strip was 2.5 inches. There's a little 2.5 inch square. Oftentimes I like to cut 2 at a time, so I'll layer them. I think it saves me time. And I've showed you that before in different videos. Use these in another quilt. So I'm gonna sign off now, make myself some coffee and start getting ready for work. So enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, subscribe, click that notifications bell, and just enjoy. And remember, why sleep when you can sew?